It's getting cold, man. You know what that means? It means Christmas! I'm wrapped in my blanket burrito. It's not really a blanket burrito because I can still take my arm out and record, but that is besides the point. Today's video, I was supposed to make this, but then all these breaking news things happened, so I had to delete the old footage I had and remake it with this, as we're gonna have to see, you know. Anyways, you might know the band, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. It's kind of obvious in the name. David Crosby, Stephen Stills, Graham Nash, and Neil Young. Before Neil Young joined, though, they were just Crosby, Stills, and Nash, but anyways, they are an influential band. You know, they've influenced music back in the day. You know, pretty cool people. And what you may not know about them is that they have an unfinished album. Ooh. The album was called Human Highway, and it was intended to follow their 1970 album Deja Vu. The album was worked on in 3 different years, 1973, 1974, and 1976. Each time, though, the album was left unreleased due to differences in the band, and over the next 4 decades, numerous tracks were officially released. In today's video, we're going to be going over all the details of this album. Bear in mind, though, that I'm using a Wikipedia page for this, and this article has it's got some issues, like too many or overly lengthy quotations, and it relies excessively to references, references to primary sources, so, if this isn't an accurate video, I'm sorry. I don't recall calling myself a musician YouTuber, now did I? Anyways, let's just start the video off with the first time they worked on this album, in 1973, then make our way to 1976. In late May of 1973, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young went on vacation in Hawaii to record an album tentatively named Human Highway, the album we're talking about. Graham Nash would go on to say, "We were all sort of on vacation and there was great music to be made. We had all these great songs like Neil's Human Highway and Maui Mama, and we were rehearsing them on David's boat and it was sounding great. We tried to put an album together. It would have been a great album. We all went there and hung out for a week or so, learning the songs and trying to figure out the album," Graham Nash said, "and then something happened. I'm not even sure what happened now. It was so long ago," he said, "but those plans were shelved and we went on with the rest of our lives." In Nash's memoir, Wild Tales, he recalled that some business, some cocaine thing went down, and suddenly we weren't talking to each other. The band later gathered at Neil Young's Broken Arrow Ranch in Redwood City, California, to record more new material, including Neil Young's Human Highway, Stephen Stills' See the Changes, Graham Nash's And So It Goes, Wind on the Water, and Prison Song, and David Crosby's Carry Me and Time After Time. Author David Brown described the rehearsals at Neil Young's ranch in his book Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, The Wild, Definite Saga of Rock's Greatest Supergroup, as dysfunctional and uninspired. "I showed up to play, and one day we stopped playing. I just don't know, Stephen Stills said in 1974 to journalist Cameron Crowe. Anyways, I want to play, I want to sing, I want to make good records, and if that doesn't happen, I'm gone. We are such different people, and we write so differently that it gives us what I like to call a much wider palette out of which to paint the album, much more than most people have," David Crosby wrote in his autobiography, Long Time Gone. On October 4th of 1973, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young performed an acoustic set at the Manahas concert in San Francisco's Winterland Ballroom. The performance included unreleased songs from the sessions of Human Highway, including As I Come of Age, Roll Another Number for the Road, Human Highway, New Mama, And So It Goes, and Prison Song. Human Highway, As I Come of Age, and Prison Song will be performed again 3 days later after Crosby, Stills, Nash, without Neil, because, you know. Anyways, performed another acoustic set after a Manhattan concert in San Francisco's Winterland Ballroom. In the summer of 1974, which we're about to get into soon, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young embarked on a reunion tour that saw the debut of many unreleased songs, including My Angel, Carry Me, Traces, Love Art Blues, Myth of Syphilis, okay. Time After Time, Goodbye, okay. Hawaiian Sunrise, and Field Worker. Many of these recordings would later be released in 2014 on the live album Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young 1974. We're now into 1974. After the reunion tour ended, the band gathered in December at Graham Nash's basement studio in San Francisco to continue the album. These sessions were marred with disagreements, leading to Stephen Stills slicing up Graham Nash's demo tape of Wind on the Water with a razor. Which, of course, at that point, yeah, Stephen Stills got kicked out because what the fuck? Yo, can we get a biopic about these guys? I'm concerned. Anyways, the group later regrouped at the record plant. What's the record plant, by the way? It's a recording studio in New York City. Man, they're going around all these places. They worked on David Crosby's Homeward Through the Haze, which ended when Neil Young abandoned the sessions without explanation. All right, Neil. Listen here, you know I'm kidding. David Crosby later said about the sessions that we had been at each other's faces for too long. If you put us all together for very long, we've drained on each other quite a bit. At the end of that long tour, going into the studio was a hopeless cause. Stephen Still was burnt out. I was burnt. I think he meant to say Stephen Stills. Anyway, Stephen Stills was burnt out. I was burnt. Even Graham Nash was less than his usual self. And Neil Young. Neil, Mr. Dependable, he came into the studio and said, "Great, out of sight. I'll be back tomorrow night," and never showed up again. This kind of trip really doesn't encourage you to work. Man, Neil Young really said, "I'm going to be a dad who gets milk and doesn't come back." Songs believed to have been recorded in 1974 are Stephen Stills' Different Tongues and Guardian Angel, which eventually ended up on the illegal Stills and Long May You Run, the album that I was going to talk about, but I decided not to, and a largely unknown song titled Western Witches. Other songs include Neil Young's New Mama and Graham Nash's Mutiny. Another session was attempted at the end of January 1975, but it was quickly abandoned, hence why we skipped to 1976. Graham Nash would later say, in relation to the song Guardian Angel, the thing was, musically, to fit a major progression through a minor chord it's impossible. Everything in my musical soul rejected it, and that was the final straw, because I felt like my opinion wasn't being listened to. It's now 1976, and Neil Young and Stephen Stills, during the sessions that led to their album Long May You Run, invited Graham Nash and David Crosby to Florida to add their vocals onto their tracks. Stephen Stills invited drummer Joe Vitale, who, very famous drummer, to Criteria Studios in Florida in 1976. He said, "Hey, I have two surprises. We're going to start a Crosby, Stills, and Nash record," Vitale told me. And I said, "That's really amazing. What's the second surprise?" And he said, "Neil's coming." And I said, "Oh my God." Neil Young would later contact Graham Nash and David Crosby to join, with Nash stating in an interview, and he said that he was working in Miami with Steven, and wouldn't David and I be interested in going down and singing on some of the songs? And he sent us some of the songs, and they were great songs, Minute on the Bay and stuff like that. So we went and spent about 2 weeks putting vocals onto all of the tracks. It's usually the songs that bring us together, because if Steven has 4, and Neil has 4, and David has 4, and I have 4 songs, we've all got a project to work on, and we'll get it done, Graham Nash said. So it usually comes down to the songs drive a relationship in many ways. Nash and Crosby, however, eventually headed back to LA after finishing Whistling Down the Wire. Stills and Young were also committed to a tour and needed a new album to be ready before their tour commenced. Not wanting to wait anymore, they decided to revert back to an album by the duo only. Young stripped Nash and Crosby's vocals off the songs they recorded. "I never should have erased that," Young would later tell an interviewer, "but I thought I was doing the right thing at the right time." Nash had doubted this was actually the case, and to this day, I still have no idea whether they actually wiped me and David's tracks, or whether they were smart enough to make a 16-track copy of that and then do overdubs to the copy. He said, "This was the final time the band attempted to finish Human Highway. We tried to put it together with Neil, but it wasn't happening," David Crosby said. "For whatever reason, it didn't work." Vitale denied any of the tapes were erased. "They did not erase those vocals," he said, "especially Neil. Neil is such an archivist." Well, I don't know, Vitale. You tell me, man. Numerous songs were re-recorded and released over the years, like Graham Nash's songs Prison Song and So It Goes. It ended up being on his Wild Tales album in 1973. Stephen Stills' songs, First Things First, My Angel, and My Favorite Changes, all played on the 1974 tour, were recorded for his album Stills in 1974. I think I have that album. Do I have an album? I stupidly went to go look, and then I forgot that I placed all of my siblings' Christmas gifts on top of my record box, so I can't even, go even look. I have one brain cell left. Anyways, David Crosby and Graham Nash included Homeward, Through the Haze, Carry Me, and Wind on the Water in their Wind on the Water album. Cinema. Anyways, Neil Young re-recorded Human Highway for his 1978 album Comes a Time. Neil Young's 1977 compilation Decade included a version of Long May You Run with the supposedly erased Crosby and Nash harmonies, although the CD version of Decade did not include these harmonies. A version of Pushed It Over the End with Crosby and Nash added new vocals to a 1974 live take was planned for Decade, but it was removed at the last minute. It later resurfaced as the B-side to an Italian single. That's crazy. In 1991, Crosby, Stills, and Nash's box set CSN included 3 songs from the Human Highway sessions, like See the Changes, Homeward Through the Haze, and Taken at All. Stephen Stills' 2013 box set Carry On included the Stills Young track, Black Coral, with the Crosby and Nash contributions included. Neil Young's Archives Volume 2 from 1972-1976 contained numerous Crosby and Nash recordings from 1976 that were previously assumed to have been erased, including Midnight on the Bay, Ocean Girl, and 2 different takes of Human Highway. In interviews, Graham Nash has been quoted as saying Human Highway's definite track list was already decided upon and that there would have been 10 songs on the record. These 10 songs were never publicly revealed. On X, they meant Twitter. Wikipedia meant Twitter. I'm sorry. On Twitter, David Crosby was asked, given the chance, would you resurrect Human Highway a la recent Pet Sounds box? Oh, Pet Sounds kind of like what the Beach Boys did. Crosby's response was, doubt I'd ever get that chance. Well, you're dead now, David Crosby. I'm sorry, that was really dark. The band have actually spoken highly of Human Highway in the years since its abandonment. David Crosby told journalist Dave Zimmer that Human Highway would have been the best one, man. It's the smile of the 70s. What the heck is Smile? Oh, Smile is an unfinished Beach Boys album. Am I gonna have to make another video? Golly! Anyways, it's the smile of the 70s, David Brown said, in reference to the infamous Beach Boys' unfinished album. They were at a point in their career where their singing was still strong. There was a lot of indulgence going on, but their singing was still strong. They hadn't blown their voices out in 73 or 74. They are still at the top of their game. It would have been a more mature, wiser, beaten up deja vu. So, yeah, you're kind of reminded all over again. What a missed opportunity. Upon the release of Neil Young's Archives Volume 2, David Crosby endorsed the idea of reconstructing Human Highway on Twitter, saying it would have been very good. Stephen Stills shared black and white photos on Twitter and Instagram of the band at Neil Young's ranch in 1973. One photo had the hashtags Human Highway and It's Never Too Late. We had great songs. It was going to be a great album, Graham Nash has said in an interview. We had a great title. Human Highway? Are you kidding me? That's fabulous. Let's end the video off with the songs that were going to be on the album. You see, they did release songs featuring all 4 members, you know, just in their own albums. Like, And So It Goes and Black Corals, like, Graham Nash released that on his Wild Tales album, and Black Coral was released by Stephen Stills on his Carry On album. But there were some rumored songs that were believed to have been intended for Human Highway, that were later re-recorded by each member of the band, like I Come of Age by Stephen Stills was put on his album. I do have that album. Okay, I just saw a picture. I do have that album. Carry Me by David Crosby is on Wind on the Water, you know, etc., etc. It's Alright was made by Graham Nash, and it was in an unreleased 1974 concert film. We also have another song here called Western Witches, but it's unknown who wrote it, and it was never released anyway, so yeah. But thank you for watching the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I have a lot of videos. I'm one person, man. I'm trying. I'm working hard, you know, but hey, I'll see you all in the next video where we're talking about Superman's musical. I said I was gonna talk about it in my Spider-Man video. That's the next video, I hope. If not, it'll probably just be Coneheads.